Hello and welcome back to our series on Sage Intacct printed document templates. In the last two videos, we covered what these templates are, where to find them, and how to get the Word toolbar installed and connected. Now it's time for the fun part. We're going to download a standard template from Sage, and we're going to make some real edits. So currently, if you don't have any customized templates that you're using, if you were to print out a purchase order, for example, it's going to automatically use whatever form Sage has connected to that transaction definition. So I'm going to go into purchasing and we'll print out one of my POs. I don't have any custom templates set up yet. So when I print out this template, it looks like this. And this is a standard purchase order template that Sage has created. So we're going to download this and we'll make some edits. I'm going to add my company's logo. I'm going to get rid of some columns that I'm really not needing on my POs. And we can add a column as well. By the end of this video, you'll have the confidence to go in and customize a template and make little tweaks. You can add your logo and edit what you need to make your form look exactly how you want. So first off, we're going to need to go to top level because platform services is not on entity level. Now I'm on top level and we'll head into platform services, printed doc templates. And instead of scrolling through all of these, I can type what module I'm in under application. So I'll type in purchasing. And these templates are created from Sage right here. Once you create a template, it'll have your user ID as the document owner. So there are a few templates that you're not going to be able to download from Sage. For example, this is a huge one. If you're using the standard Quick Bill, you won't be able to find Sage's Quick Bill template within these template library, but I can show you how to edit a brand new Quick Bill. But we're going to edit our PO first. So I'm going to select the Intacct purchase order here. To download, you select the hyperlink for template and open this file. So here is one of the standard PO templates. I'm actually going to download the purchase order sample just because I like how that template looks. Okay, so we'll need to enable editing. And I need to make sure I'm logged in. So go to your add-ins, use your dropdown and log in. Sometimes if you have multiple Word documents open and you log in, it might say you're logged in, but you're not able to access that merge library I showed you in the last video. When that happens, just log out of Word completely and relog back in. It might take a second for that window to pop up, and it usually pops up on another window. So here it is right here. We are editing our purchase order. So under select application, we need to find purchasing. And I'm going to find purchase order. So these are all of my merge fields here that I need. Let's say there was something on here that I didn't want. I can delete it. So my company isn't going to be using unit of measure or quantity. So I can simply delete these columns here. And then I can move my table, format that how I'd like. I want to enter a longer description, so I'm going to make this column bigger. Okay. These are the merge fields I was talking about. So for example, here is my company's name. And if you scroll through your list, there's going to be a merge field here that says company name somewhere within here. If I wanted to add my deliver to address, if I'm entering that in Intacct and I need it to print out on my form, I would be using these fields here. If scope was missing from my purchase order and I'd like to enter that, I would add that. So that's how that works. Let's add our logo. So there's a section here within the header. I recommend putting your logos in your header. So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to insert a logo for my pictures. You can also use your snipping tool too and paste that in there. So you could do it either through pictures or, like I said, I used my snipping tool and I took a screenshot, so I can just copy and paste that in. This field is static. If there's not a merge field here, it will always, purchase order will always show up on the form. Really nothing's needed there. And then we've got our company address here. We have the date on the PO when it was created. This reference is my PO number. And then I have a bill to and ship to section here. If I wanted to, maybe I need it to say deliver to instead, because the ship to is the same as who I'm delivering it to. I might put deliver to, and then I can make this bigger. We have our due date here. I've got my terms and the shipping method. I don't really need my shipping method, so I'm actually going to change this section to scope. And I'm going to delete this merge field out. Okay, so I need to find the merge field within this library that says scope. So we have it right here. So I'm just going to click within my document. I'm going to move this over to another page, but you just select right there. And now you'll see that it's in the table. You need to have your cursor on the Word document to get it in the table. So now if scope is entered within my purchase order in Intacct, it will print out now on this document. This is a Word table. So if you're familiar with entries in Intacct, there's entry tables within your invoice creation, purchase orders, subcontracts, sub change orders, and the entries table work a bit different. You see here, there's a table start and a table end. If I didn't have my start and end, I would receive an error. None of this data would show up if it's not correct with the end and with the start and end fields. So in my table, when I'm entering the info in Intacct, I'm entering my item description. I enter my unit price, and then it gives me a line total. Making a few tweaks there. Really depends on how you want this to look. And then this is also a table for the subtotals. The start and end fields are at the bottom. So when you have a table on your form, you're usually using these entry items. So if I wanted to add memo instead, I would need to use this memo field. So instead of item description, I'm actually going to use memo because I have my item ID already in this section. So I'm going to go back into my table and I'm going to drop in memo. There we go. So let's save this. I'm going to save as, I'm going to put new PO, and you'll want to save it as a Word doc. Now I'm going to show you how to add your new printed document template and apply it to all of your purchasing definitions. So you can see I can't edit any of Intact's purchase orders. I've made my own now, so I can select add right here. And I'm going to add my template name, so I'll put new company PO. You can add a description. Anything with an asterisk is needed. If I want this to be my default template, I can select that. And the application needs to be on purchasing. We're not within order entry, but this is where you can apply your project contract invoice templates. You have an option between AR, inventory, projects. You can create your own change requests and project change orders. Vendor compliance, you have compliance records. Inventory, you can do any of these options. AR is invoice and statement. But we are editing our PO, so select purchasing. And this is a purchase order. If I were to upload this purchase order template as an invoice and then apply it to my purchase order transaction definition, which I'll show you next, it would not work. You would receive a bunch of errors on your template, and it wouldn't look too pretty. So select order and select choose file. I'm going to find my new PO. Okay. If you ever create a template and you don't want to use it anymore, instead of deleting, I recommend going in here to edit and making it inactive, just because you might want to use it in the future, and this is an easier way to find it. I also recommend not writing over anybody's template either. Create a new printed document template here, just like I did, and then we'll apply it to the transaction definition. So select save, and now we have our new template. But if I print out through purchasing without applying this new template to the definition, it's still going to be using Sage's form. So I'm going to stay within top level, and I'm going to go to purchasing. The transaction definitions are set up on top level. So go to purchasing and your setup tab, and we'll go to the transaction definitions. These are all of the definitions you see in your purchasing menu. This is where they're stored, and I need to edit my purchase order template. So I'm going to select edit and scroll down a bit. You'll see a section that says print. So we need to apply our printed document template. If this is blank in your instance, it means you're using Sage's templates. And you can see here, my new company PO is available. So I'll select that and save. That's how you apply the templates to your definitions. If I wanted to create a purchasing invoice, I can apply it here once it's created, or maybe even a PO change order. Now we're going to go into our entity and we'll print it out to see that new template. So I'm going to go to my purchase orders and I'll print out one of my recent POs just to see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm getting an error right now that says the report could not be generated. This happens if a merge field is incorrect. So it says the found end of the merge field region subtotals without a matching start. So pretty much that means that I have a table and there is no start, but there is an end to it. And like I mentioned, within this entries table, you need a start and an end. So the subtotals, you'll see right here, I do not have a start, but I sure have an end. So we'll go to the front right here. We'll head into our library, and I'm going to go to subtotals. So I'm still in the entries table. I need to find subtotals. So here's subtotals. I need to find the start. So this is the start. Okay, so now my subtotals table has a table start. Resave. Go back into your printed document template library on top level in platform services and edit that new PO that you created. And we are going to add our new PO with the table start, so we shouldn't receive an error again. You don't need to go to your transaction definition and update it. It's still using this template that had the error. Let's reprint. Okay, so this is the template that we worked on. I added that logo. If I need to make it bigger, I can go back and tweak it. So once I load that again, it will be a little larger. We have our company's name, date of the purchase order, my purchase order number. I have the bill to. I changed that ship to delivered to. Due date, payment terms. These are all merge fields that I showed you in the table. And then I added a section for my scope. We updated the item description to the memo. And then we have our unit price and line total and the subtotals here. I don't need subtotals. It was on the original Sage form, so I'm going to delete my subtotals out. So you can just remove this whole table. If you're doing sales tax, you will need that subtotal section. So I'm going to resave. And I want to show you where to enter the scope. So I'm going to go back into my purchase order and I'm going to edit this. So this is the header information. This is the pay to. The merge field is pulling directly from your data in Intacct. That reference number, the PO number is pulling from right here. We have terms, the due date. There's a message section, so I can add that on my PO if I want. If you're ever wondering, how do I know what merge field this section is? You can guess, or you can go in and edit this. And I like to right click and inspect. And this window pops up. This might not be a great example. Right here, I have a custom field for my requester. So right click, select inspect, and scroll over a bit. When I go into that merge field table, it's going to say requester. So let's go back into our Word doc and our table. Somewhere within these fields, it will say requester. If you add a custom field and you want to put that on your form, you need to log out of Word, and then once you log back in, it will be added. And unfortunately, you can't search in here, so you have to find it. So here I have requester, and I actually want to add my requester. Okay, and I'm going to go back into that table and select that. So now the requester will show up, and I don't need it bolded. There we go. Save that. I'm going to go back into my template library and add my new file. You're going to be doing this quite a bit as you're working on your template. Okay, so I'm going to add the requester here. So now once I save this and repost, it's going to print out with that requester since I added that merge field. So we'll repost. I also added that memo section within the table. And you'll see here on my screen, I don't have memo in my table. So it's really doing nothing for me until I add it. So under more actions, select edit entries layout, and we need to find memo. Okay, so select it and bring it up. Once you see that dark gray rectangle, you could drop it in your table. And we could also move them around. I don't need warehouse, so I'm going to take this out. Same thing, once you see the dark gray box, drop it in. Okay, and I need to select apply the layout changes to all forms right here, and then save again. So now we have the memo, and I'm going to print this out once more to show you these changes. Okay, so we have our requester added, and now the description column is using memo instead. I realize I don't have a subtotal here, or a total. So I want to use the transaction total right here, and I can highlight this, right click, inspect it, and it's telling me that it's using the summary total. I'm gonna go back into my Word document, and I'm going to add my total right here. I like some space, so I'm just gonna insert a row below, and then I'm gonna make this row a bit smaller. To do so, I could just highlight this, right click and go into table properties, select row. And so right now, the specified height is at least this, but I want to make it smaller, and I'm going to use exactly. So you see how it shrank that, and you could just play around with it. Now I can actually manipulate it a bit more. So I'm going to add total. I want that a bit bigger and bolded. Okay, we need to find that subtotals now. It's usually at the top. The header info is usually at the top of your merge fields. So I can use that subtotal, or I could use total. And if you want a $sign, you can use the TRX currency symbol here. Then I'm going to use TRX subtotal because that has the decimals here. If I were to just select total, it would show up a different way. And you could see here, after this is how I'm formatting the number with these quotations. Okay, so I'm going to use TRX total right there. So now I should have a $sign, and this should just automatically do what this is doing. You could also just put a $sign here. It's really up to you. Make that smaller actually. And let's say I want this total right here in the middle. I'm just going to highlight this box. I'm going to highlight both of them. Right click into your table properties, go to cell, and we want it centered instead of top. So now that will show up in the center. And I'm going to bold this, resave. I'm going to apply my new template. And I'm going to edit this PO once more to add we should be good actually. So I'm gonna print this out again and show you the total section. Okay, so total's been added there. It's not summing up though. So I'm actually going to use a different merge field. Just play around with this. You could use resources like AI to help you with this. And then if you're stuck on something, reach out to us through a ticket and we can show you. So if I wanted to make it easier on myself, I'm just going to put a $sign here. And I'm going to go back into my table and just simply select total. If I print it out like this, it's just going to show the total without decimal places. So you see how you put the decimal places how you want it formatted after the slash. So I'm just going to copy and paste. That's why I like using Sage's templates, because a lot of the work is already done for you and you could just make it pretty and however you'd like it to look. So we're going to delete out merge format and we'll copy in that formatting. Resave. Choose your file again. Because this is something I've created, I don't mind writing over it, but don't write over other people's templates. Okay, so now it should have the correct total on my document, which it does. Beautiful. If I wanted to tighten this space up, I could delete that whole row if I wanted. So these are just some simple things you can do with these documents you're printing out of Intacct to customize them the way you want. There's a lot more you can do with these templates. There are advanced merge fields like if formulas, conditional formatting, multi-page layouts. So if you want to know more, please add that in the comments and I would love to make another video for you. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.